My people, Africa is not ready to receive diasporians. Hello, my friends, and big up to my people all across the globe, not only in the West, but upon the four corners of the earth. We are here for the freedom of the originals from east to west, not only for the freedom of Africans, originals on the other parts of the globe suffered more than Africans because today some will not be found in the flesh anymore, for they were murdered to extinction by the sons of evil upon the earth. Today we only come to call on that judgment. We have been given that power because of cause and defect. Some originals, both in East and West, were where they are present thousands of years long before West Africans were in West Africa. There are originals in Asia, in India, in Australia, and other places that showed DNA connections to tribes in Africa. But since they were in their locations thousands of years before these Africans were where they were in Africa, could you see them as the ones that need to go back? Why do black people always fall for the white man's tricks? Can you think for yourself, or is it because you outsourced your God? Without your internal God, you cannot think and you cannot trust your own understanding. The white man who understands on your behalf will not allow you to understand enough to see his lies. It's all about confounded vision. The white man gave you Baba speech. You know Baba? He gave you Baba speech, and you will hardly listen now. All this religious crap and all these titles, everything connects as a way to trick or steal from you. When you all belong to Africa, then black Americans who are the true originals, which the Amerindians already verified, will have no part in America. Brazilians will have no part in Brazil, and same for Argentina and Australia, where the people were for over 60,000 years, but they were not the oldest. Other black tribes and nations were made completely extinct that were even older than them, and I mean made extinct recently, in recent times. Yes, it happened too in Africa. I mean extinction, our great Holocaust on people. One European king slaughtered 53 million in Africa. So he is the hero in Europe now. The lives of the billions murdered will be felt in the air by the end of this year. It is the first in our experience that their presence will be so intense in this world. Africans, Caribbeans, and Americans are piping the white man's horn. We are not all Africans. We are not all Africans. No white citizen in America is going to call himself a Polish. Why? Because he will not give up ownership in America. White people in Africa stand firm on the grounds that they are South Africans. None of them call themselves a Netherland African, even when their circumstances are as impostors and thieves that don't belong there and can never be legitimized. They try to make it seem as fair as those that were the rightful heirs or owners. But you come talking down your brother and calling him back to Africa. Of course, you are not the only one at fault. People in Jamaica started it, and some are religious, so they will never be true to the reason. Their religion will be more important than their race. Yes, it is good for some people to go back and help to build Africa, but when Africa is ready, this is why Rastafari cultural system did not contain me. They make an old redundant truth, destroy our lives because they want to keep pushing that which is proven as a fault. Maybe we should stop using the word African as a general term and go with original or melanin. Melanin is a word that the white man hates very much. So we could go with melanin people. Africa is a continent and Australia is continent too. The blacks in Australia can be traced to over 60,000 years, but older ones were brought to extinction there by the white man. The blacks in West Africa might not even be able to date their presence back to 30,000 years. So why would the Australians be the ones that moved? How does that work? Moreover, let's say that Africa was where all men originated before moving out to the four corners. If that is the reason for Australian blacks to come back to Africa, or even for a Jamaican maroon who was there long before Columbus, would it be not equally correct to say that whites and Chinese should come back home to Africa too? White people would have left less than 10,000 years ago, but the Australians left for more than 60. How many ways can I explain a simple thing? Please tell me how to get the people back to some sense of sanity, to remove the spells upon them. Africa is for Africans, but melanin people must live in love and unity. I saw African bloggers in Jamaica. Let them tell you, Africans, if Jamaica treat them less than the white tourists. Tell them if Jamaica did not treat them well. Let them speak for themselves. Jamaicans will love them very much because we see ourselves in each other. We had problems when the first when we first went to America, we did have problems, and it carries over still. Because when you visit us, we treat you well, as we see us in you. Black Americans blame diasporians for their own fault. I remember the first time I went to South Carolina and saw black folks. I tried to talk to them nicely and was culture shocked. That would never happen in Jamaica. They greeted me by telling me to go back to my country. This is the precedent that it comes upon. I believe that the Americans like to turn the rhetoric, even if they know that the truth behind it is not what they say. I always compare Nigerians in Africa with black Americans in the West. It is a similar situation, and then they will claim that the problem is everybody else, which is very unlikely and also very unfair. In the black community, everyone gets along. Everyone gets along with everyone. But I find that the black American gets along with no one. And then they claim that the problem is everyone. Sometimes when you see it going that way, you have to really stop and look if there can be something wrong with your approach. I spent my time in South Carolina depending on white people for help if I wanted it. That would never happen to a black American or any black person in Jamaica. In fact, we do not know how to leave another black person stranded over here. Black Americans have culture faults, and if I say this, they might be angry, even when the fact is obvious. They will take a useful criticism as an insult. They will take a useful criticism as an insult. I see that a lot. So, where is the cerebral approach? And careful observation, I bet that you will see the fact. But maybe you never realized it before because you were always looking outside. Africans and Caribbean people are cultivated by culture, so they can relate to each other. Americans are sadly forced to grow willy nilly, and there is a sort of lack of that kind of culture. I hear Africans calling diasporians home, but Africa is simply not ready to accommodate them with love. The general masses will love their visiting brothers and sisters. Africans will show you love, on the ground, but the system in these countries will not. I need you to understand that. So people are not gonna go to Africa to be more overwhelmed with the biases than they were in their own country or even in America because we are more used to these faults in America. You don't want to go to Ghana or go to Kenya and then the police is walking behind you everywhere you go and it's a black cop. So you are not ready yet, Africa. Even our politicians will show you love in Jamaica. Even our politicians will show you love, and the system will show you love. The system will show you love. Unless you make trouble, our police will never stalk you and give you a hard time in this country. Never. This this is one time I will take up and defend the truth of a Jamaican politician or a Jamaican policeman, especially the present slate across the board. Well, I might big up the police more than politicians, but not in cases like being nice to our visiting families from Africa. They will treat you well, and the system itself will be good to you. So if we go to Africa and the people might be on the ground treating us well, but the system is treating us like how America would treat us. They both get A plus, the police and the system here and the people. I simply have to be fair about this. No, this is not a video about Jamaicans being perfect. This is simply about particular issues. Jamaicans get the same criticisms as everybody else. You saw my last few videos. There is the day when they get their flowers too, though. Please let me hold up a little. Just light up the thumbs up button since you are still here. The discussions keep getting deeper, so subscribe and hit the notification bell. Share this with your friends too. Truth will sometimes seem like the anomaly, but it's because it was hiding for too long. Many Americans and Caribbeans have visited countries in Africa, especially West. Many of us come back with disappointing news, not from the general masses, definitely not. I must make that clear. So why are we disappointed? One, if they come to invest, the business integrity of their host country is not going to be up to scratch. But on top of that, the police might be treating them as the police treat people in a white country. And sometimes the experience in America is even better. Or at least you can say, well, they are white people hating on black people. It's different. The best advice is not to jump and go buy land in Ghana just because an African tells you it's kosher. You might end up in all sorts of trouble, and the legal system is not going to work properly for you. The the system is just it's just there's not a proper system to accommodate you. And you know, when you have a proper system, is the rock that is higher than the people, which means that the system itself will protect you, but not in Africa, not in most of these countries, not even in Ghana. As much as Ghana is touted to be growing for so long, not even in Ghana, they don't have a proper system. To African brothers and sisters, it is fine that you visit Jamaica and we will show you love because we love you. However, don't tell them to visit you yet. Wait until your system and your politicians love us the way we and ours love you. I believe that would be fair. And don't get me wrong, I am one of those that descended from the West African in Jamaica. And I love Africa to the degree that I see myself as African. I am one who have considered returning to Africa. However, don't expect an exodus. Africa lays such conditions that people are even more comfortable at where they were outcasted. In other words, the conditions sometime in Africa means that people will be more comfortable where they are already at. So to call them out to come to a more discomforting place is not proper, is not good. Not just because you are there. You know, you have to think about their own comfort where they are. You are giving up your home, your property, and so to swap it. You don't want to jump out of the frying pan and jump in the fire. And I tell you, your leaders can do much better. You must demand it. If you simply have the proper accommodations in terms of business integrity and state hospitality, you see, those are state hospitality, different from just meeting person to person. Many diasporians will come and put their shoulders to the wheel with you. You can't have it all that way. You know, people who are running from bad treatment in a foreign countries are people who don't get hassled by the cops for no reason in their own country will not have time to come to your country for that to happen to them. And big up Rwanda. Rwanda is one of those countries that have done well with creating the right atmosphere. I can't stop saying big up Rwanda. This those that go to Rwanda will only call back home and shower them with praises for that country. That country cannot get enough accolades. Setting up the proper groundwork is not hard to do, and Rwanda proves it. By what I know now, if I was a black American, I would probably come to Jamaica. They have false notions about Jamaica, but it is because of the same thing. If you treat your visitors bad, you worry that they will treat you bad. But it's not so in Jamaica with Jamaicans. I am thinking that one of the best way for a black American to uplift himself, knowing the strength of the US dollar as compared to Jamaicans, if he had smart connections to Jamaica, then there are certain types of investment that he could probably not do in America. He could come to Jamaica and do it. And even if he lives offshore, it doesn't matter. But if he's wise, like real estate, Jamaica real estate is good dealing. You know, you can't make the white man come and first you with a lot of stuff. Just get the right information and plan it. Don't go too big at first. Start a little bit small. Contact there are so many real estate agents in Jamaica that you can contact, and you have to just choose one. They have good integrity, and you have something. You have something, and you can be maybe on the lower ebb in the US, but you can start that in Jamaica, and it gives you a very good push for life. Black Americans are kind of slow with that sometimes. You will never find a black nation more accommodating towards black people than Jamaica. Well, I will give the black Americans this. They are slowly getting the gist. I think I saw a black American woman investing in real estate, and what she is doing is breathtaking. I think when I tried today, it was breathtaking because even I was thinking, it would be good to meet this person and to go and actually go there and take a look. It's wow. We melanin people must stand away from all God spells and know that we have God within. We must find God within. This religious thing about Jesus being black and the Jews are not white is only an historic truth. However, this history is like a donkey and cart situation which you don't plan to go back to. I know as a fact that the Bible is African histories, allegories, and esoteric principles, some of them sciences, woven into a God spell to robe the people with. How do I know? Because I can read the book and see. I understand how the spells work. Listen, if you are an architect, can you go and read the blueprint and know where the corner post is supposed to go? Well, okay, I can read the Bible and see the spells where they are set. And if you want to come and prove it, come and prove it. I can show you. There the blueprints there. Why don't you see it when you read it? Because you outsource your own understanding according to you. The Bible tells you clearly that the God of the Bible will require your children for sacrifice, and you agree. It is a contract, which in turn is an agreement with death. There are so many things you will never see unless a free mind finds it out. As long as you stay in the gospel, it will be impossible for you to see. It is compartmentalized hypnotism. Your mind only your mind only shifts between compartmental dimensions. It is why I have to tell you that your Bible was named after testicles. For you would never see that something too close to you is hard to see. Okay? I wish I could say more to you quickly. I wish, but then you know how hard the people like me must labor to catch up. The masses can be and think very wickedly at times when they see someone who stands up on the outer pyramid and free to soar to the zenith of the sun and embrace the universe. You outsource your God to millions of miles away, according to you. When the white man first met us, we never betrayed our God, and so the white man worshipped us as gods. This is why he still has those black relics that he worshipped. The story is completely different from what you believe. He imagines the mighty had fallen, and he thinks that he can hold power from the image of those that understood the spiritual magic. He did not even truly know how and when the cycles turn. This is the beginning of the cycles turning. This is why we are here. It is never easy for pioneers, so be the first ones among us. In 6 months, you will marvel again. If you think I am impossible, then wait. Wait for these little children that shall come with wisdom to teach you. You will hear great God voices, but before you, they will be like newborns. Do you need me to explain why all blacks can't be African more than I did? You will find DNA connection between some West Africans and the Australians in Australia long before the West Africans were in West Africa. But mathematically, it would most likely mean that the West African should repatriate to Australia, for that state is older. The melanin man lives everywhere. But let me explain something else. DNA memory is the catalyst to evolution. People that separated thousands of years ago and existed in other areas under different circumstances are different in many ways. This is how races can be formed. Some adapted to different conditions to the degree that where he presently resides is better than or is better for him than where he came from originally. Thus, he has now become the original of that plane. Do you understand? Peace out.